exhausted, tired, heavy, uninspired, and including myself. I felt so heavy this week. And when you're someone who is presents himself as a holistic health coach, when you're not feeling at your best, you can start to create a story of I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy of all these different things. And it really can weigh heavily on you. And so this week has felt a density that's been almost unescapable. It's felt so heavy and exhausting. And when I was young, that's how I used to feel a lot of the time. Like just that I can't do this anymore, that this life is too much, that I don't know if I can carry all of this that I feel like I'm supposed to carry. And whenever I'm going through something, I don't like to talk about it. Not because I don't want to, but because I haven't transformed and alchemized it properly. So I don't feel like I'm ready to share it. Because if I share something before I have transformed and alchemized it, then it's all going to be ego. It's all going to be my victim narrative and things like that. But what I have felt, especially in the energy starting from last week and especially this week, is the call to share a lot more, and to, um, yeah, just share. And I think it's so important that we share more often our transformation, what we've alchemized, and things like that, because whatever we do for ourselves, we do for everybody. Human beings are all interconnected. We're all one big or small organism that's all working together in a network. And when we alchemize and transform and go through things, we lighten the load for everybody else as well. And I feel that that's super important. So if you have felt exhausted, tired, uninspired, heavy, you're not alone. We've all been there. And to be honest, this has been one of the toughest weeks that I've had to go through. And what I found difficult is that I couldn't quite pin it to anything specific. Like if I, could just go to bed earlier, or if I could just get more sunlight, if I could just train more. It wasn't any of those things at all. And oftentimes well, I have a tendency of going to that place of like, well, I'm tired, so I must be doing something wrong. Let me check my nutrition, let me check my sleep. And those are good places to start always. But when you're someone who's been on the health journey for a long time, you know you need sunlight, you need to go to bed early, that you shouldn't be on screens too much, you should be eating more of this food or less of these foods, etc. So it's not anything specific. And when I look into the astrology and the energy and all these different things, there is this theme of letting go of the old self to become what we're supposed to become. And when we do that, there is often a heaviness involved with that, because the physical form is the one that lags behind the longest. Matter is spirit moving slow enough that you can interact with it. So the physical form lags behind when higher energies are being distilled into us. So if you can imagine your highest self as a specific kind of frequency, it's not exactly right, but I'm just giving an analogy. And when your higher self is communicating to you, it can almost feel overwhelming because your physical being, your nervous system hasn't achieved that level to be able to work with that frequency just yet. And so it can feel like anxiety, it can feel like heaviness, it can feel like fatigue, because we're getting the body ready for a higher level way of operating. And that's what this week has been about. And then we're being called to share that, which is why I'm talking, because usually I wouldn't talk about these things. I would just go through them and carry on with life. But I'm finding that in sharing what we go through, we lighten the load and often offer other people the opportunity to grow and to lighten their load as well. We're all connected in this journey. So a couple of things that I wanted to touch on to keep in mind if you have been feeling fatigue and heavy and exhausted and all these things. Number one being that everything is light. everything is light. So, the reason you can see me is because light is reflecting off. The camera's picking up light. It's going at the speed of light through the cables under the sea to your screen. And so everything is light. Even food. Food is condensed light. Plants literally take in light, photosynthesis, and create their body. And then their body, the plant, and then when you eat it, your body unpacks that light, and that's actually where a lot of the energy comes from. And the same with animals. The light in animals is slightly more distorted, but it's the same concept where everything is condensed light, and we're all light beings that are interacting with light in different forms. So everything is light, and on the subatomic level, the electrons, quarks, quasars, atoms, molecules, whatever, are just all vibrating at different frequencies. And so, the frequency of the steel is vibrating differently to the frequency of the shirt. That's why this is so malleable and this isn't. And so on a deeper level, everything is just light. It's just energy that's vibrating. And it can really help to have that greater perspective, because when you're going through a lot of difficulties, you almost zoom in onto the problem. So you can't escape like, oh, I really need money, or I'm really struggling with my health, or I'm really struggling with my relationship. It's all consuming. So what a lot of problems do is they make us myopic. They narrow our vision. And so even though it's difficult, it's good to keep in mind that there is a bigger perspective of things that are happening. There's a lot more going on than what's just happening now for us. And what's just happening now for us is important, but it also feeds into the bigger picture of life, of everything's being interconnected. So as you lighten the load of your own problems, you actually lighten the load for everybody. So if I am doing my inner work and really working on myself and lightening the load of what I'm going through, when I'm around others, they will feel that. And I don't have to do anything to change them, because they will have the permission to change just by my energy being changed. So we really have the opportunity to change the world simply by changing ourselves. And that's so important to keep in mind, that the work you do is not just for you, it's for everybody. And that helps to shift it. It's like, oh, this is not just a heaviness. I said this to a client the other day. It's like, you know what sadness feels like, of course. And I know what sadness feels like. And so it's not your sadness and it's not my sadness, it's our sadness. It's a shared experience. We all know what sadness feels like. We all know what grief and all these different, so these are shared experiences, shared emotions. And so as I allow emotions to move through me, allow thoughts to move through me, I lighten the load for the collective, for everybody, and so do you when you do that. So whatever you're struggling with, whatever you're going through, yes, it's difficult, yes, it's important, but it's also what you're shifting for everybody. So it really helps to keep that in mind, that you're lightening the load for the whole world. The other thing I want to say is that you are always empowered. You always have the power to shift. You always have the power to choose a different thought, to choose actions. And the times when you feel like you have the least power is actually when you have the most, because you've given that power to somebody or something else. The reason I feel like this is because of that. You have given that thing so much power that you think that that's the way that you feel. And no matter how true that might feel in your mind, it's not the ultimate truth. And that's actually the framework you can use when you're stuck in fear. Is this the ultimate truth? You can ask yourself that question. And it'll always be false when it comes to fear. So it's not true that this person, place, or thing has power over you. You're the one who has the power. You are the conscious creator. You are empowered, and you can make the decision to shift at any time, even if it's really, really difficult. So it's very important to keep in mind that we have power in us. So in the comments, hello, Alvin. And we have the power to shift at any time. The other thing I wanted to say is that everything is an illusion. And I say that very lightly, not to make you think that nothing's real, so nothing matters, but everything is an illusion. Like I was saying earlier, everything's an energy. It's vibrating. It's not even like you never even touch anything. It feels like my fingers are touching, but on the subatomic level, these atoms are pushing away these atoms. So you're feeling the repulsion of atoms not touching. That's what you're feeling. So you, on a technical sense, you've never touched anything. So there's a lot of illusions that we operate in. And right now on the world stage, it's all illusions. All the politics, the wars, all the stuff going on is a lot of chaos and separation, because the separation is the illusion that we are separate from one another, that we are not connected to nature, connected to each other, connected to the universe, connected to love. That's the illusion. And so as we get closer to 2027, when a big shift is going to take place, the old systems are going to hold on much harder and create even more illusion, more separation. That's why you see so much going on in politics right now, because the division holds your attention and usually generates emotion. And wherever your attention goes, your energy goes. My man. And you feeding these worlds with our energy and attention, especially emotions, because emotions are a huge energy. Think of grief, think of love, think of anger or rage. Those emotions take over your whole system that you can't even function sometimes. And so if that emotion is high energy and the political stage is demanding you to like feel certain emotions, makes you angry or outrage or hatred or whatever, you're feeding that world on an energetic level, and we're keeping it alive. That's why everything is division. The content that gets the most views is always divisive. And in fact, rage bait. People will make content specifically to make you angry because it gets good engagement. So you're feeding these worlds with our attention, with our energy. And it's going to get stronger, which is why you see it more. Well, I see it more. I don't know what you do with your time. And it's going to ask more of our energy, that we feed it more often. And that's really a waste of our potential, a waste of our energy. And we have to see through that illusion. So everything's an illusion. Like everything you see on the television, everything in the politics, it's all just fabricated to create some form of control over you. Because if you're sitting, okay, not in Israel or Palestine or any war-torn country right now, but if you're sitting at home and there's nothing happening, how real is that world? It's only real when I give it my attention and I give it my energy. I have a lot of friends who go deep into conspiracy theories, and I used to a lot as well, and I love reading that stuff. I'm not opposed to it. And they say, what's the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth is about 6 months. But what I've noticed, and it happened to me also, is that you get so angry, or just you can't stop consuming this content, that it takes over you. And so we're not actually serving ourselves or the world by getting lost in that content, over consuming it and getting emotional about it. Because if you have a home, if you have food, if you have someone who loves you, like, how are we serving these people by being so upset about these things? We're really not. And again, we're feeding that reality with our emotional energy. So it's good to take a step back and recognize, like, a lot of it's illusion, a lot of it's not real. And even all the problems that I faced this week, and perhaps the problems you face, I don't want to downplay your problems. I don't know what you're going through, but I'm just offering a different way of looking at things. And whatever you've been through this week, like, how real were those problems? At the end of the day, if we have breath, if we have someone who loves us, if we have a home, we have a lot. And how real are the problems really? Because you'll be doing something else and you forget about them. So when you're not thinking about your problem, is it even a problem? So oftentimes it's the way we're thinking about things, the way we're focusing on things, that is actually the problem. Because every problem is just another opportunity, another way of looking at life. And it takes a lot of energy, mental fortitude, and resilience to start thinking and looking at life in this way. But that's really why we're here, to build that resiliency, to build that fortitude, to uplift the world. Because if I, move through density and start to shine my light brighter, then I offer others the opportunity to do the same, and so do you. As you lighten your load and shine your light even brighter, you offer others the opportunity to do the same as well. Um, so, those are a few things that I wanted to share, and also that I think if you're feeling called to share something, not in a divisive way, not in a separation way, or a not controversial, what's the word? Like contested, like fighting kind of way. Bye, Alvin. Nice to have you here, my man. Um, if you're feeling called to share things, this is a time to do it, especially this week, because you know, creativity is such an important part of life, and we all are creative. Half of your brain is creative, half is logical. So we have a lot of creativity that moves through us. Like how does an artist paint something amazing? It's like the spirit of art moves through you. You can look at it like God is moving through you, or Source, or the universe, or however you like to see it. And when we allow that to happen, the creative force of the universe to flow through us, and we're sharing from that place, we really start to do something really beautiful with our lives and with our time. And I feel that that's what we're all really being called to. That's what I feel like I'm really being called to. So I'm going to be sharing I'm going to be sharing a lot more of these things that we're stepping through, because I feel like it lightens the load for all of us. So yeah, are you okay there, Alvin? What are you choking on? um, yeah, so I just wanted to share that with everybody. If guys have questions, you're welcome to ask. Otherwise, I'll be doing more lives and actually be talking a lot more about holistic health, nutrition, sleep, movement, things like this, things that I'm really passionate about and things that I really love. And if people have questions, you're welcome to ask, and I will do my best to provide a clear, concise, and to the best of my abilities, accurate answer to it all. But thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Go outside. Yes, exactly. Very important. I was outside a lot. You can see my face is a bit sunburned. Um, it's so important to be out in nature. It's a good point, Alvin. That because nature is the original frequency. We don't come from nature. We are nature. Our cells are made up of the elements. If you look on the periodic table of elements like hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, those are the first four elements, and the highest quantity of those elements in your body is hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, nitrogen. And if you go and like look at the stars and the planets, like their composition: hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, nitrogen. So we're all the same. We're all made of the same elements. You breathe in the air that the trees breathe out, and you eat the plants and the animals that are made out of the soil, that's made out of the rocks and the minerals. So there is a beautiful synchronistic energy there. We're all, co-creating and co-living all the time. Nothing's really separate, kind of like the butterfly effect. But anyway, that's for another time. Thanks for being here, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the chat, and I will see you all soon. Peace.